pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks. All right. That's all signed.
I'll make a motion to accept the playground development workshop as written. Second. All in favor? And I'll make a motion to accept the Footman's minutes from August 26th as written. Second. All in favor? All right, there is no ADA update this week. We're still awaiting the contractor for Vista on the front door, so there's nothing else to be done. All right, Ms. Walker, nice to be on the phone.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak at this meeting tonight. Wondering if I could just have the floor for a few minutes. If you can hold your questions until I'm done, so I don't kind of go off track and lose my focus. That's okay?
Yep.
Excellent. Can everybody hear me okay? No? No? I'm here representing myself and some other members of the community to discuss the significant increase in the tax bills this year. Can I use this? Is that okay? Safety. In 2024, I received a letter from the assessors stating that my new property valuation was after my part of the town-wide assessment was complete. This matched what my 2024 to 2025 tax bill was. The town was informed this town-wide assessment could be good for several, I believe 10 years. I could be wrong, but it was for several years. On August 20th, 2025, I previewed my 2025 to 2026 tax bill on the town's website. You noticed my land and property evaluation had significantly increased over what my 2024 assessment letter documented, causing my tax bill to increase hundreds of dollars, even though my mill rate was lowered over $1 per thousand as stated at the annual town meeting. And I'm going to give you examples of just my tax bill. As it's all public record, I'm going to do that. So doing the land, for the past 3 years, it went from $43,322. In 2024, the assessment year, the land was $67,456, and then this year it was $88,000. The building portion went from $164,447. The assessment year was $172,922. All of that in the 2024 year. I was fine with that. I had no arguments. It seemed like a fair assessment to me. I had no problems with that. This year's assessment, it went to, for just the buildings, $250,958. It's a pretty significant jump for my buildings. I did no improvements whatsoever to my property. So I discovered this happened to a lot of other taxpayers in town. I did my due diligence and I emailed the assessor, all the selectmen, and the tax collector that same evening. After a few days, I did receive communication from the assessor, and she also sent me a copy of the tax commitment letter used to set the mill rate for this year's tax bills. Now, I know the select board is familiar with the tax commitment formula, but for those that are not, it can tell you a lot of things when comparing the mill rate. It factors in how much the town has to pay in county tax. This is usually about 2 years behind, and it's based on actual sales in the town of Brownfield. This was $123,375 more than last year. The municipal budget, it gives you the amount of due to the school, which was $163,686 more than last year. The municipal budget, and all these figures are coming from the commitment that Hannah gave me. I don't know if the municipal budget was correct on the commitment form, because when I added it up based on the new payroll that we voted on, I thought the municipal budget was a little bit less, but I'm going by what I was given for the tax commitment. So the municipal budget was $143,758 more than last year. Then it goes into how much we have in credits to offset these expenses. For example, the state municipal revenue sharing, it has the homestead reimbursement, BETE reimbursement, not quite sure what that is, but it's a credit for us, and other revenue. Now, the other revenue would be the normal article in the warrant that asks taxpayers if they would like to authorize selectmen to apply up to a certain amount from the general surplus, and if I use wrong terminology, I apologize, to offset taxes. And there wasn't an article in the warrant this year. Looking at the tax commitment formula for this year, it looks like we could have easily had a warrant article asking the taxpayers if they would like to apply up to $500,000. In years past, it's been up to $700,000. One year we did like $800,000, $400,000, $600,000. You can kind of see where I'm going with this. By looking at this formula, they can see about how much we would need to keep taxes at a reasonable rate, to keep the taxes at a reasonable amount and still keep the town running. And that would be based on what the auditor, R.H.R. Smith, had to say when he came to the town and said we had approximately $1 million in surplus over and above the money set aside for the public safety building. And he recommends maintaining 3 months, I believe he said 3 months of running expenses in the general account. So I have 4 questions. And I don't know if you want me to just lay them out, or if you want me to ask them and have you answer them, because you may have prepared some answers ahead of time. And
Didn't know what you was gonna ask, Paul.
well, I don't know, you knew my topic was, so maybe you prepared ahead of time. But my first question, I actually wanted to know that I did some other, I don't know anything about assessments, I won't lie. Eric did try to educate me. It's not an easy process to understand. He understands it a lot better than I do. It's not an easy job. I do understand that. It has a lot of variables to it. Not gonna lie, it's a tricky thing. But I did hear a few things. Last year, when they did the assessment, I was told, or my son and I were told, that it went by square footage, and that's how they based it. Now, other people in town heard that it went by market value, and that's what Hannah told me this year, is that it went by market value, and that's why we were reassessed. I'm not sure why we were being reassessed this year, but, so having heard a couple of things, and seeing that the land was reevaluated, I went to the real estate market, and I just pulled a couple of land that was for sale in the town of Brownfield. So if I were to do an equity for 2 acres of land, I have 2 acres of land, my son has 2 acres of land, my neighbor has 2 acres of land, we at $88,000 this year. For 2 acres of land on Fen Hill Road, it's currently being advertised as $62,500. For 4 acres of land on Misty Lane, I understand it gets a little more complicated when you have more land. But for 4 acres of land on Misty Lane is $125,000. Log Yard Lane really puzzled my brain, because that one was 5.45 acres of land for $80,000. So I couldn't quite understand that, but maybe they have more swamp. I don't know.
Current use.
Per use. It could be
Current use.
current use. Could be something that I'm not aware of, so I'm not quite sure why it's less than my 2 acres. But like I said, I don't know a lot about real estate. But I did do my due diligence to try to get comps, which is what she said that she does for that. So my first question is, in the past 3 years, our townwide evaluation, which is on the top of the tax commitment form, has gone from $199,864,319 to this year is $358,357,612. And I wanted to know, first, why was there another townwide assessment without notification to the taxpayers?
Okay, I don't believe that there was a town-wide or a full reval done since they did theirs. I've spoke to a few that their tax bills went down, not up. Mine went up. Every year in April is a new commitment, new commitment for the state. And this year's certified ratio declaration approval was done and certified by the state for April 1st, that we're spot on. The assessors are spot on. That was done. As far as a full reval, I don't believe it was, that there was a full reval. Every year, come April, is a new commitment year. The assessors are doing their job in looking and paying attention to the market values. So, yeah, if some properties went up, I don't know. I'm not an assessor, okay? So they're certified. So I truly believe that they were looking at the market, and the market did rise, and they made adjustments accordingly for the individual tax, you know, how much your house is worth and all that. So we're on a 10-year cycle for a complete town-wide reval. And that's a 10-year cycle. So
Where in that
You
site?
would-
Oh,
she's got the floor, sir.
Oh,
You
okay.
asked her.
No, so it would be up for 2034 as our next townwide
To be finished,
to
yes.
be finished.
Yes. It took roughly 20 to 24 months to do the reval. Correct. And we went 22 years before we had a reval. in the town.
May I ask the floor here how many people's taxes went up?
Go ahead, have at it.
On a property that's not livable. And
Okay.
has had no development.
Okay.
On top of 60% increase last year, 60 to
Right.
70.
I guess my point, I think part of that question too is, if I had known that my evaluation was going to skyrocket this year at town meeting, I would have made a lot different decisions.
How so?
I would have said no a lot more.
Okay.
I don't know how other people in this,
Yes.
You have a hand up.
Can I speak? last night. I don't have my hearing aids, so they're broken. So I missed a lot of it. But
I'm sorry.
your taxes are a concern for all of us. The way the town is going, your tax is gonna double in about 10 years. It's the school budget that's killing us. We need to close the Denmark Brownfield School, number one. Number two, there's multiple layers to this problem. The town doesn't have the tax base to support what it's doing. The town of Bridgeton has 4 houses that have a higher value than the whole town of Brownfield. So to set up an office staff with all the people we have here, we don't have the tax base to support it. Right now, half of the people in this town pay 3/4 of the taxes because the town doesn't even have a standard for housing in this town. They're still bringing in 50-year-old shacks and trailers. And that's not a problem. But you can't expect a small group to pay all the bills for this town. And that is the problem. And unless we can get the spending under control, and one thing else we need is to get a town vote on the school budget. It's got to come back to the taxpayers here, because enough is enough with the overspending in Freiburg. We need to get the school budget under control, and we've got to get a minimum standard for housing in this town, because when you have properties that don't have a value as high as the lots they sit on, we're subsidizing those properties. We're subsidizing their share of the paying for this town. And so I sympathize with where you're at. The question is, what do we do as a group to change it?
Yeah, I have 3 more questions, so they may be able to help with that. So, my second question is, where is the income generated by need the glasses again. Generated by increased evaluations going, since there wasn't any money applied from surplus to bring the taxes down, noting the $1 million in the general fund from the auditor. So
Okay.
you already have that.
So I can answer that. When Ron came in and gave us his brief, right, did we have the 24 audit results? You should know, you asked for them.
No, we
You did not, we did not, okay. Now, we have to have the warrant out so that you taxpayers can do your due diligence and look over the budget, correct?
Yes.
Okay, we didn't get the 24 audit results until after, it was even after the vote had taken place in June, so that we had a number. RHR was asked, Ron was asked, do we have enough money to have an article to offset? His answer was no, do not, because we don't have the 24 audit completed. So we did not include it. And again, we didn't get the 24 draft audit until after we'd already gone to vote. So the expectation that we were providing, as you stated earlier, $500,000 surplus, I don't understand where those figures are coming from, because Ron stated 1 million to 1.2 we should have in general surplus for catastrophic. That is a general rule of thumb. So where would we have obtained the 500,000 to offset tax rate when we asked the auditor? We did not have the draft audit for 24 for numbers, which is what we would base it off of. So we didn't have an article in there because we didn't have the numbers. So my apologies, but this problem was created long before us.
Well, I know the problem was created long before us, but I do know that we generally do 3 months of running expenses. Is it 1.2 million in 3 months of?
1 million to 1.2 is what Ron said is a comfortable number for Brownfield. So so my question, I guess to answer your question is, I can't give you a to the penny number of what 3 months expenses are in total, if the town were to just shut down right this minute.
Well,
I
I
don't
thought
know.
we discussed that in that meeting, and
But again, the audits weren't completed. So you're asking for, to the penny numbers.
I'm not asking for tooth
No,
and
no,
penny numbers, I'm asking for
But
a
ma'am-
generalized,
Right, but
because
that's just
I
it. We
think
didn't have the
Lynn probably
numbers.
has a general idea of how much she needs to keep in there for 3 months.
Well, I can tell you with just the school budget alone, that 3 months, that's $600,000.
Yeah.
So we need a minimum of $600,000 just to pay for the school for those 3 months, on top of all the bills we have, so. That's more
So-
than $500,000 right there.
Right, so 1.1 to 1.2, I trust the auditors when they give us a number of, hey, this is what you should keep in reserve for, rainy day. So that's what we've done. But we didn't have the numbers, folks, so, if we'd have had the numbers, prior, you'd have seen an article, I can assure you.
Cindy, was your question asking for clarification?
Yes.
If we have just it's cost 1 million to 1.2 million to cover those 3 months. Is there anything in addition to that in that account? I think that's the question.
Yes,
Am I right?
because the town has now got a lot more money into it due to everybody's property being higher. So you're gonna have whatever was in there when Ron came, and now you've got a lot more money because everybody's taxes went, a large majority of people's taxes went up based on what's on this commitment form. So what is all that money going towards?
We don't know yet. We just got the draft 24 audit. I think, did we get the finalized one?
We didn't get the finalized one.
Okay, and 25's in work. We won't know those numbers until we have the 25 audit, because it's the ending year of 25. So the 24 audit, the draft audit that we received after June, that we have to have the numbers for, in order to do that, the article to offset tax rate. We didn't get that until after June. And then 25, we still don't know. We need the audits, and that's what, it's very difficult, because you're expecting an answer on about how much, when we don't know, because, to be very honest, I was really surprised when the 24 audit came out with some of the line item accounts that were higher, that we were, the previous year, they were almost in the red. And it's like, oh, where'd this come from? Because of the accounting that was done. So you're wanting to know where this extra money is.
Okay,
I can't answer your question because
So,
we still don't have,
okay, so can I just say that I think that it was kind of, I know there are playground lovers here, and you're all gonna hate me, but I think that it's kind of frivolous then that we took $180,000 out of the account that we could have used to offset taxes and put it into a playground.
can I address that?
Please.
Okay, folks, Article 23 in the warrant was for $180,000 to come out of surplus. Lynn and myself sat in this room for roughly 2.5, almost 3 hours, because of the large outpouring of,
Yes.
no, let me finish that.
No, I'm
Please.
agreeing. Yeah, I'm agreeing.
Because of the wooden playground. So we spent beating our heads on this table, as a matter of fact, trying to find some money so that we could give the taxpayers and their kids a playground. And we happened to come across revenue share. Now, Mr. Flynn, are you present?
I thought I was, yeah.
All right, very well. So, if you remember, when you were on the select board, it was told us that revenue share was a quarterly payment of about $20,000 to $30,000. Does that sound about right to you?
That sounds exactly correct.
Okay, well, when it came right down to finding out the truth, okay, the revenue share is quite a bit, actually. We did have a drop this year, though, of 2%. It's monthly payments that's a revenue share from the state of Maine. And at the point where I had to get a warrant out, so that articles, so that you taxpayers could make the decision, informationals were held. All of the playground meetings were public. Lynn and I discussed it, and at that point, when I had to go out with an article, there was $196,000 of revenue share to the town of Brownfield. Now that was April, and that's what because I have to go to print it, so you guys have your warrant and your town report. So by the time it came around, and the taxpayers voted pretty overwhelmingly to spend $180,000, that's where that money came from. Yes, it came out of general surplus, but it was $180,000 of $196,000 in revenue share to the town. Now, coming into the year, the end of the fiscal year, that number was $226,000 and change for revenue share. So,
So we made money?
we still, $166,000, yes, that stayed in general surplus, yes, ma'am. For revenue share. I'd be speaking out of turn on anything else. I don't know.
Yeah, that's part of the information you get in your tax. So the other two questions I have are we able to have an article on the November ballot asking taxpayers if they would have that, or we don't have the money?
Have what?
Have that normal article that says, would you authorize selectmen to have up to apply?
I don't have the numbers. The 25 audit is not complete. I honestly, I don't have those numbers. The 24 draft is still out there. I don't have the 24 final, and 25 needs to be reconciled. So
Okay.
I'd be lying to you if I said, oh yeah, sure, I want to put an article in it for $300,000.
No, I'm not asking you that.
I don't have the
So
numbers.
my last and final hope, here goes. Is it possible to have our taxes reverted back to our 2024 assessment, as that was supposed to be our evaluation for the 10-year term?
Okay, so I'll answer the question, sort of, but I have a question for everyone here. I'm not an assessor, I've not taken the training, I don't know the certifications, I don't know the formula, I do not know how to input or get the data out of it. So I would say no. But that doesn't mean we can't speak to the assessors and find out.
Okay,
So
because
that question will be asked of the assessors.
okay, because I do believe that for many, many years, my evaluation was pretty much exactly the same.
And I'd like to address that with everybody here. And it's kind of formed in a question to everybody. You're saying that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the assumption is that a reval happens every 10 years, so your property value stagnates for 10 years.
Right, and the mill rate adjusts.
That's just a yes or no question. The mill rate's a whole different discussion.
Right, but the mill rate adjusts to pay what
Well,
we need to pay the
it
town.
all depends
But
on
yours-
how much is paid. The mill rate's a whole different discussion. I'm speaking strictly about your assessment
Yes,
and tax bill
yes,
for your value of your property.
right, unless
That's
you
all
make
I want.
changes to your property, correct?
Oh, well, I don't even want to go that deep. My question to you all is it the assumption that a reval happens every 10 years and the expectation of the taxpayer is that when that reval starts on year one, and these are strictly hypothetical numbers, folks. I don't know what your homes are worth. I don't know. But your property is said it's $250,000 for your property. So that price stays the same for 10 years. So I'm gonna ask everybody in here, if the housing market crashes and that house, you can't sell it for $150,000, how many of you are gonna come in here on year 3 out of that 10 with a market crash and say, wait a minute, hey, I can't sell my property $250,000. It just doesn't have that value right now. Would you not be asking for that to reflect the drop in the market?
I never did before. Because in the
When-
law,
when did you
and
do it?
it's just like the stock market. Have you ever watched your stock market and how it ebbs and flows?
I
And
don't
how
have
you,
stocks.
and how you lose and lose and lose and lose the money, and you guys going, just don't look at it. It's gonna come back. Ricky, it's gonna come back.
I
It's
don't
gonna
have
come
enough
back.
money for
Don't touch
stocks.
it. Don't touch it. It's gonna come back. That's how the housing market goes. It goes up
And it goes
and
down.
it goes down.
Yep.
It goes up and it goes down. And that's what we've been living here in Brownfield for. I believe it was 20 years that our housing stayed the same. And then we had a town-wide assessment, and we all said, ooh, ouch, that really hurt. But hey, it's been 20 years, I guess my house is worth that much now, but we'll take it.
So
The
in-
housing market is up right now, but we didn't expect that it was gonna happen again, because we were told, okay, we're good for 10 years.
Yeah, but no warning, that's.
But there was no warning.
But nobody has yet to answer the question. If the value of your property is lowered, would you not expect that to reciprocate on your tax bill?
No,
Would it not?
That's what I bought my house for.
I've never seen that happen. I don't know anybody that's happened to. And this is the cheapest amount of taxes I've paid in the last 40 years, so I'm not complaining. But that's not happened. I don't know a single person whose property value went down.
Hold on, hey, stop.
That's all I'm asking. Would you really give somebody credit on their taxes?
Well, abatements have happened, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Abatements were done, yes.
thank you.
I don't know the number of abatements. I do not know that
Just
number.
curiosity.
I'm not an assessor. I don't go in their office out of the 2 days that they're here and grill them for every detail of what they do.
Well, I think that's an important detail.
Well, it's something that I don't do.
Right.
But abatements are case by case.
Yes, sir.
As opposed to just everybody's property went down,
A town.
everybody gets or everybody's property goes up, everybody gets.
Well, it's my understanding per the assessors that if the market values drop, then so will the assessments. And that happens every year. And I think that you'll find that our assessors are doing their job. They're paying attention to the market and they're making changes accordingly. Whereas before, that did not happen. And I'm sure if you ask Eric, he can explain that as well. Because he's got 12 years in here and he knows who the assessors were and he knows the challenges, as does Mr. Flynn, that we face every year. That, you know, when we would talk to who was doing the job then, well, I got the numbers close enough for the state. And is that not what we were told?
I recall something similar to that, yeah.
I can actually
So,
answer that, Ricky, for Eric. Because he and I had two different opinions on that. He was not as concerned about the evaluation as he is on why there wasn't an article and where the money is going for the increased amount of money being taken in due to the evaluation.
okay, so I would like to ask that question. This is a new tax bill, correct? That just come out? So how many people have paid their tax bills already?
I would have.
No, ma'am.
I would have until I
well,
saw the increase.
ma'am, I'd like to ask that question. You know, the tax bill that went out, this is the first time in Brownfield history that I know of, and I've asked some old timers that have lived there their entire lives, when after a town meeting that a mill rate can be set. Never. Not one time. And they have never had tax bills done and ready for the taxpayers before October. So we're actually in the new territory as far as that. And dumbfounded. You know, you're asking where this additional money's come from, or where are they? Where is that additional funding for this year's tax bill? It's not even November 15th. So my question to you would be, if the people decided that they weren't gonna pay their taxes. As if you look at the town warrant book every year, there's quite a list in there of taxes that haven't been paid. So we have to make up for that. So if you don't pay your property taxes, hypothetical, sir, you know anything. You don't pay your property taxes, and there's 100 other people doing the same thing. It's the same money that has to be spent on the same bills. Puts a burden on all of us. Way in the back. I can't see who it is, but yep, there you go. All I saw was a hand.
I don't know all the ins and outs of this assessor, but I've been talking to her quite a bit.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just want one question answered. And basically it's about the value of the house.
It's
So
about- I'm sorry?
The value of my house.
Okay.
So my property in 2024, I knew it was gonna go up. It went up by 50%, which I expected. I paid 13.9% increase in tax. Got it. This year, went up 34%. I'm paying 23.7% more in taxes because of the value. My question to you is, why am I targeted for such a significant value when I haven't had an additional appraisal and there's been nothing new to my house?
Honestly, ma'am, I can't answer that question.
So I asked the assessor.
Yeah, I'm
and
not an
she
assessor.
said
I
you
don't know.
guys hire someone to calculate this. And she said 2 abatements were taken away, and the state of Maine does this, but however, that's a significant amount for an increase in 1 year. And you guys sent out a letter, I don't know when it was, doesn't have a date on it. It says, who signed it? Robert Hanna, the assessor officer.
Correct.
So it said that there was a miscalculation from the state, as well as losing some abatements for it. But that still doesn't, I know there's 11% increase in taxes. That's, given for whatever it needs to be. But it's the value, not the mill rate, because the mill rate went down $1
It did.
per thousand. So we're talking about values of houses going up significantly, of people that have been living here for over 20 years. So I wanted to just know how I was calculated in. What made my house go up so significantly, by $200,000 in 1 year? It's not sustainable for me to pay the taxes on this. So 1 year went up, and the next year, what's gonna happen to the next year? So I'm just afraid of this. I don't know what's the calculation for this.
BJ.
I'm gonna set up here. So, I'm not an assessor, I am not certified, but I was a measurer and lister, and I did work in an assessing office for a little over a year. So I know some stuff. There is a difference between your assessed value and your appraised value, very different, right? The appraisal is gonna be much higher than the assessed value. What some towns do, and I don't know what this town does, but what some towns do is you do a revow. So many of you know I work for Conway, that's where I get my information, that's where I get most of it. But at the end of the day, we're all municipalities in the same region. There are probably some different laws that I would love for people to correct me if I'm wrong. But the way some towns do it is they're on a cycle for the revow. So we didn't have revals for 20 years. So we weren't kept up to speed with what our values were increasing at. We were just kind of stagnant. Once that reval is done, then a lot of towns will use building permits. So somebody takes out a building permit, they're telling the town, I have an intent to improve my property. That triggers the assessors to then go out and reevaluate that property. So, to answer your question, if I were somebody worth listening to, I might estimate that the reason our taxes were changed 2 years in a row is because now we have involved, certified assessors, probably working more hours than the previous ones, who are keeping up with the workload based on the sales and the property. So to answer your question about Fenn Hill being valued at 63 or 52 and property over near you 88, that's because probably in your neighborhood there were more sales than Fenn Hill neighborhood with which to compare, and the desirability is probably higher on that end of town than in the woods, depending on who's buying property, right? So there's a lot of different, so assessing is an art and not a science. It is not a perfect science. So it's important that you get your property record cards. This is what we tell everybody. Get your property record cards. Make sure that the information on the property record card is accurate. If it isn't, let the town know. Look at the sales of comparable homes to your home. If those sales are not consistent with what your property is valued at, bring it down and talk to the assessor and see if an adjustment can be made. The other thing I wanted to answer was, you asked how many of you would not expect us to lower your tax rate if your house wouldn't sell for the same amount. You brought up, that's never happened in the age of history, right?
Exactly.
Paraphrase, right? The difference is, as time goes on, the expenses go up. So your tax bill will still likely continue to rise, but in,
By mill rate.
wait a minute, it's all comparative. You can't, so what's the word I'm looking for? Equally across, everybody's rate will go up based on what their property looks like. So my mother, who lives in a trailer, but is living on Main Street, I don't know, that must be residential commercial.
We don't have zoning.
Her property, right, that same exact property in my neighborhood where I live would be valued at my house and on Oak County Road would be lower value than where she is, because she's right in the center of town.
You would think that, but no.
Well,
You would think that, but no.
that needs to be evaluated. But that's how
I
I
do
understand
wanna
it, so
point
it's all
out-
relative.
I do want to point out, I agree with you as far as the relative part of this. It's pretty standard that if your mill rate goes down, your valuations go up. And if the mill rate goes up, your valuations are down, because it's still raising and appropriating the same amount of money to
Correct.
cover the same amount of bills.
Right,
So
that's the
we
part
went
that
from a 1755 mill rate to what, 1255? So, and that's a reflection in the mill rate formula sheet. So, in the back.
It's kind of on topic, but I don't know. There's so many people in this town that's upset right now with their taxes increasing and this and that, but if you talk to people around in other towns, Porter, Limerick, Bridgeton, Standish, I have family in those towns, friends in those towns, this have all done the same exact thing as Brownfield. So it's not just Brownfield that's going through this.
It's
It is
statewide.
every town. It's not just your town. You guys have to look beyond the people sitting up here. It's the state is involved too. It's not just these people that, I mean, so many want to blame these fines up here, and the state have their hands in it too. So it's not just Brownfield, it's other towns doing it too. So
Yeah, I'm not
we need to
getting
hold
into
that
that,
for a
no.
while.
And it's to expand on that too, like towns have strict deadlines and timeframes that have to be met due process to occur and all these things, right? Noticing, you have to notice something 30 days in advance. So most towns are a year or two behind the 8 ball.
And some
Because you
towns,
have to be. There's no other way of.
it is what it is.
But that's why it's so important to stay involved consistently over time.
Terry?
Is it possible that the assessors come to a select board meeting and
Well,
address some of these?
it's funny you asked that because I have an email. I would like to set up an informational meeting in the community center in the next couple of weeks so that all the taxpayers can show up, air their grievances, ask their questions, and get the appropriate answers from the assessors.
Thank you.
There are some things that we can answer, yes, but again, I'm not a qualified or certified assessor. There's a lot more into it than I know, so I can't answer that.
Thank you.
Chad?
Our tax bills are based on like the school taxes, the county taxes, and all that.
Yes.
And did they all go up this year?
County taxes went up 41.2%.
44%. Our county tax went from $281,572 to $404,947. Municipal appropriation went up 8% from $1.874577 to $2.018335. Local educational appropriation was up 8%, $2.098527 to $2.262213. Overlay had a 45% reduction from $70,000 to $38,674. And if people don't know what overlay is for, it's for tax abatement purposes. So the first year after the revow, which would be 24, there was $70,009.99. That's actually part of the mill rate calculation. 2%, so that mistakes, people have problems, they come in, they get awarded a tax abatement. That money has to come from somewhere. So that's where that. So it dropped to $38,674.18 this year. State revenue share is down 2%, $248,666 to $244,585. Homestead reimbursement is down 4%, $117,439 to $113,116.50. I don't know what BET is.
That is, personal property.
Oh, personal property
That's
tax.
what I thought it was. Thank you.
10,410. It actually went up 19%. We're getting 12,423. Total deductions, 376,516. So we actually 25. We had a 2% reduction in that. But we did go 3.948,170 to 4.354044, which is a 10% increase. And this is available for anybody if they'd like. So there were sizable increases in what we have to pay for. Revenue share was a decrease 1.6%. School increase was 7.8%, or $163,686. County increase 43.82%. Total collection increase excluding municipal $291,143. So that was an increase there. So the tax rate in 24 is 1335, equivalent would be 1102. 25 estimated using current municipal budget 1255 to 1260, result in tax increase of 158 over 1,000. If you use last year's budget, you'll still see an increase of 78 cents. So the voters would have to vote down 272,591 to get even this level of increase to the tax bills. So. Yes, sir, in the back, middle.
Mike Boucher. It appears that select people have reassessed and not the whole town. So when you look, I spent 10 minutes just going through tax bills. A lot of people's bills didn't change, a lot of people's went down a little bit. Those that went up significantly. Mine went up, my assessment went up $86,000 after the $55,000 reval. But not everyone's did, so it's like our, the mill rate goes down, but when we're spending money, the mill rate usually goes up unless you inflate property values. So it's just, like it's happened in Conway, where they did the reeval just on residences, not commercial, and then the tax burden got shifted significantly to the residents. Here, the whole town did a reval, which was great, it was long overdue. But now, selective properties are getting reevaluated, and my taxes went up more this 1 year than they did in the last 14 years combined. So it seems like the tax burden's getting shifted to those that are being selectively assessed. Now, I emailed the assessor, I haven't received an email back. But just like, for instance, I'm new to this, here's my tax card, right? My understanding of what BJ said is there's an appraised value of your home, and then your assessment is a percentage of that. By Maine law, I think it's 70 to 110%. I don't know what Brownfield is.
Our certification through the state is at 100% right there. That's from the state.
100% of fair market value.
Is that just this year or is that last year?
This is dated 2025, April 1st of 2025. Maine Revenue Services has received your completed 2025 certified ratio declaration form. You requested that Brownfield be allowed to use a certified ratio that varies by more than 10% from the developed parcel ratio last determined by Maine Revenue Service. After reviewing the evidence you provided, your request to certify at 100% has been approved for commitment April 1st, 2025. However, please remember that the ratio used by Brownfield for the homestead exemption program should be used to adjust all of the property values in the municipality, including the value of acres in the tree growth and farmland program, business equipment tax exemption, and veterans exemptions. If for any reason adjustments to your taxable value cannot be implemented and goals are not met, then you would use the maximum allowed ratio determined by Maine Revenue Service. Reimbursements would be based on 61.6%, the maximum allowed ratio determined in the certified ratio declaration form mailed to your municipality. And that is from Maine Revenue Services as of April of this year, 2025, that we are at 100%.
Do we know what last year's was?
I don't have that. I don't have that, but it's a simple question.
I'm pretty sure last year we were told we were at 70%. After the.
It was around that last year from what my property's town saying its value. Because value and assessments are two different things.
Correct.
But if we're now going from 70 to 100%, like we did the reeval, there was great communication from the town about the process. What in March we got the letter that says what our new assessment was. We were prepared. If you wanted to fight it, I didn't fight it. We got the tax bill in the fall. It reflected that same number. But then I have zero communication from the town. Zero. Then I get my tax bill assuming that it was going to be the same assessed value, and it took the wind out of the sails. There was all this great communication for a $55,000 assessment increase for me, and then no communication, and out of the blue at $86,000. Now, if that's because we went from 70 to 100% for the assessment ratio, and you knew that about that in April.
Please don't insinuate that we knew in April, okay? Because this tonight's first time I saw that. I asked the question of the assessors, hey, are we good with the state? Yes, we're at 100%, which Bill, Eric, and I used to do every year with the assessor at the point, hey, we good with the state? Our report, we're all set, we're good to go, right? Yep, we're at 100%. So, yeah.
I was saying, that you said the date was April on the letter.
This letter is period start April 1, 2025 to period end March 31st, 2026. Letter date June 11th, 2025.
Okay, so June 11th.
Yes.
But yet I don't find out until last week. Tax bill, like, there should have been some communication from the town saying, hey, just to let you know, our assessments are going from 70 to 100%, because that's a significant burden. If I had known that my taxes were going to be more in the last year than they were in 14 years combined, I would have certainly voted differently. I can't make an informed decision at town meeting. I'm going off the assumption of my assessment being what the assessor sent me the letter of. So my numbers are good, my voting is based on, I know what I feel comfortable spending or can afford. But then when my value goes through the roof, I would have certainly voted different. I can't make an informed decision if I don't have that information. That's what I'm upset about, is that the poor communication. It was great communication for the reassessment, but next year I don't know how I'm gonna vote, because I don't know what some computer's gonna tell the town my property's worth, because there was no reassessment done at my house this year. My value went up, but nobody came to my house. And when the assessor came for the reeval, she was there for 2 minutes and 57 seconds, according to my cameras. She measured my shed, took a picture of the house, and walked away. But yet my value goes up, which I'm not complaining. It was long overdue. But now, randomly each year now, my value is going to change without any explanation or like this. My mortgage company already has our tax bill, and for all I know, it's already paid. They're going to pay it whether I want to or not, so I can't object or anything. They're going to pay it. And I'm going to make do. I'll get by. I make some sacrifices, but I just don't like poor communication. The reeval was great communication, but then going from 70 to 100% should have been communicated to, in my opinion, the townspeople, because that, it was June. When was our town meeting? Right. So I mean, it's
June
that was
11th.
information that probably should have been out there for people to make just an informed decision. It's like we find this out after the fact. It's that would have made a difference. I know in my voting. And that's for what it's worth. And for 14 years, my assessed value never changed. I have every single tax bill. I was assessed higher than what I bought my house for. That's just the ebbs and flows. And over time, my value goes higher than what it's assessed. It doesn't change. I know what my assessed value is. And it's going to change every year, apparently. It's just, I can't make an informed decision if I don't know what the town's going to value my property at.
How do you save to your taxes? I mean, I have a set amount that I save for my taxes every year.
Hey, mine went up over $2,800. You think I'm impressed? I'm not. We're teetering on $10,000. I ain't impressed at all. So don't feel like you're all alone in this. Because you're not.
That's what I'm saying, is that's why I put it out there, because I was having a heart attack literally when I saw it.
BJ?
My property, I have two properties in Brownfield. The one I live in, I don't think increased a whole lot, if at all. But the one that is over on Perry Mountain Road is absolutely unlivable. Absolutely unlivable. I was actually planning to tear it down this fall. They reassessed, and my taxes went from 400 to 700. For an unlivable property that no one's even been over to in 10 years. How does that, I don't get it. How many unlivable homes have we sold in Brownfield? And why is the building going up in value when it's been sitting there since 2015? No, prior to that, actually. Probably 13 or 14. It's been there, no one living there. I've had the land cleaned up once. I was getting ready to do it again. But I'm going to unload it because I'm not going to pay out the nose for a property that has no value to it to the town of Brownfield. So now you've got another local selling it to another local. How do you do that?
Well, I would like to point out market value to all of you. You look at what is posted for sale. 1 acre lot, septic, drilled well on it, $119,900. $119,900. 1 acre. You know why? Because it has a mountain view. Guess who came in and scooped it up? They weren't from Brownfield. And yet you wonder why the market is so high, because believe it or not, folks, we live in a pretty desirable place. We still have a rural feel. We still have
Close to everything.
I mean, 30 minutes and you're skiing.
If you want a rural feel.
4 different places. You have,
Take care of your
Every store under the sun.
yeah, dining. It's a shame.
Not bad for a rooster.
Yes.
Now, there's a large list of towns in the state of Maine that give senior citizens a break on their property taxes. Is that anything they ever considered doing in Brownfield?
I didn't know that we had that option, honestly. Could you get that list to us? Please do.
That's your exemption.
My home has gone up 93,000. And I'm on Main Street, but, you know, the houses around me are pretty sloppy. I got a junkyard on one side, I got a junkyard across the street. I just, you know, now it's assessed over 300,000, and I just don't see it happening. But I wish I had had it heads up, because I'm on a very fixed income, and I usually save, but I didn't save it enough, so.
Well, when we had these out, 41 days before town meeting? Town of Brownfield Assessing Office, dear residents. The 2-year market update for the 24 tax commitment has been completed. Upon listening to all issues that were brought to our attention, we're reviewing the information provided for possible updates to the 25 tax commitment. Every tax year is an opportunity to address any errors that might be found in valuation or the calculation of property taxes. We recommend for all property owners to review their property card annually and are excited to announce that this just got easier than ever. The town contracted with CAI to update the town's current tax maps, and it gives you how to go there. You will see a link to the GIS mapping program. Type your name, address, or map lot number in the upper left, and it will bring you right to the information about your property. If you find any errors and wish for us to review it, please reach out to our new email address, assessor@brownfieldmaine.gov. Also found on the town website of the homestead exemption application and veterans exemption application. These are one-time forms that will reduce your tax bill if you qualify. If you already received this exemption, it will be indicated on your tax bill. So that was put out in May. Again, this didn't come out until June, so. Yes, Mrs. Moore.
I appreciate you reading that, Ricky. That is what I was sent from the assessor, when I did send all of my documents and stuff, and I was having a heart attack. If I had read that, which I read everybody else's letter but that one in the notebook, that would have given me no clue or heads up that I was gonna have an increase in my evaluation. I mean, it was helpful that if I wanna look at it, I could, but it gave me no information that, hey, you better look at this, cause your house is about to.
But I'd like to ask a question. And
I don't consider myself dumb, but.
no, ma'am. No. I have a question for everybody. If you don't believe that your valuation on the tax card is valid, how many of you have made appointments to sit with the assessors and discuss this, see about the abatement process, fill out, there is a form, and it's a state required form for an abatement. How many people have done that?
I haven't yet,
You know, but that's the point. So where does it stand with your tax abatement, and what did you get when you met with the assessors on just the value of your property?
Okay, so here's where I stand. The moment I realized I was gonna live, and I sent out all my documents to everybody in the town, and I sent all my documents, and it came in the following day, and I gave my 2024 abatement letters that I was fully covered and made sure I covered all my ducks in a row. And I waited for Hannah or Bob to get back to me several days. And she gave me the letter. And I still wasn't satisfied with my answer. I decided to do my own research, because I figured that was as good as it was gonna get, because Hannah and I don't speak the same language. I know the abatement process. The abatement process is, in order to get an abatement, you have to first pay your taxes, and then you can ask for an abatement. And I have to tell you, I don't like what my taxes say. And that's no guarantee that I'm going to get an abatement. And I have a pretty strong feeling from my previous conversations with Hannah, she's a nice lady, I'm sure. She's very smart. She knows things I don't know. But I have a feeling she's gonna dig her toes in, and after I pay my taxes, she's gonna say, thanks for paying, have a good day. And I'm still gonna have 100% evaluation on my house. And I'm gonna have to somehow find a way to figure out how to scrape up money to pay my taxes every year based on a high evaluation. And I feel like everybody in this room is gonna have to try to figure that out. And my son is gonna have to try to figure that out. And I feel more for my son than I feel for myself, because that's who I am. Because he's trying to live by himself and not have to get a roommate, which he built a one-man house. He ain't got no room for nobody else to pay.
Just, since you brought it up, that CAI going in.
CAI, yeah.
So, I went there this morning,
Yeah.
and my tax card, my net assessment is the 2024 assessment. So, I look at this, it matches what the numbers from the assessment after the re-eval is supposed to be, but it doesn't match my 25 assessment. My 25 assessment is $86,000 higher than my property tax card that's available online. So so you say to go on and look, we did, and it's
Okay.
not accurate.
You're giving a perfect example, sir. Perfect example. There's a discrepancy there. Would you not agree?
I agree, yes.
Then when are you going to have a discussion with the
I
assessor?
did, and they've not gotten back to me.
When did that go out?
Last week.
Okay, so they work 2 days a week. One's a half day, one's a full day. And unless you want to pay them more, taxpayers, that's all the time that we get with them.
Then we got to
So-
do something else.
And we need to.
I met with the assessor about that.
Yep.
And she says that it's right, my increase in assessments, because the state came down and said this is the formula they're using,
Okay.
or whatever it is. It's not on anybody's tax.
No, man. What I'm saying is he used the example that the numbers that he's seeing when he went to the town website and used GIS, that tax card matched to the 2024. Am I correct in saying that, sir?
Right, and so does mine.
Okay, all right. So you're saying that the 25 tax bill, so there's a discrepancy in valuation to what's in our system and what your bill is, right? So that tells me that there is a discrepancy.
But that might
Okay,
be a
great.
software thing.
Well, but that's just it.
I was gonna say, now that I know that it's this fact, I can reach out to CAI tomorrow and say, hey, I think you guys need to pull an updated file over. Easy as
Right.
that, and we'll get that fixed.
But
I didn't know about
if
it.
that is a discrepancy and you noticed it, so your yearly review of, wait a minute, this don't add up. I got my tax bill and it's this and my tax card says this. Well, obviously that's a discrepancy, and that's when you go see the assessors and say, hey, we need to have a sit down chat.
Or it's because they haven't frozen the files yet.
They haven't what?
Frozen the files. With some programs, you have to freeze the files to get everything all updated. So it could be
So it is an open.
an issue with
Right.
the program.
Agreed.
I'm just
But,
letting you know.
but what I'm saying is, he really gave us a really good example of just what that letter said. If you see a discrepancy, please reach out to us and we'll make changes accordingly.
But I didn't know there was a discrepancy until I got a tax bill.
But you see what I'm saying? So we
I would like to make.
this is what I'm having a hard time comprehending myself. Is in the history of Brownfield, I have never seen tax bills go out this early. And like I said earlier in the meeting, folks, I talked to some old timers that have been here their entire lives. And to have the ability at a town meeting to say, hey folks, if everything's passed as approved, we know what the mill rate is gonna be. Because all we can do is guesstimate, okay? Until you taxpayers make the majority vote, at least you knew then that our mill rate was gonna drop $1. It went down about 5. That's never happened in Brownfield. Never. So this is where I'm having the comprehension problem. We set our the mill rate in June.
Well, Ricky,
For
that's
July.
what I based my
Well,
vote
hang
on,
on.
because I based it on my
No,
old
ma'am.
evaluation, and my
Ma'am.
vote's based on that.
Man, I wasn't finished. Please let me finish. This is where my confusion is coming in, folks. This is what I don't understand. Is for the first time in history in Brownfield that any of the older folks that I'd spoken to said, we set the mill rate?
I was
You knew what that
thrilled.
was?
I was thrilled.
Oh, wow. Tax bills are going out already?
I was
Oh.
thrilled.
Awesome.
Yeah, but it was a
So it's a new process. It really is a new process. We've never done this before. And it's not even November, and if you saw a change in the tax bill, you know, like he just pointed out, there's a discrepancy in the GIS for this tax card. Take it up to the assessor. Find out. Ask the assessor the questions. Make those appointments. You know, folks, I would love.
Rick, I understand. Rick,
No, you wait.
okay.
I would absolutely love to look every taxpayer in the face and say, you know what? Let's go back to 2015 numbers, and now your mill rate's going to be 22.50. Don't care how you like it. Doesn't matter. The bills still have to be paid. I don't know. I can't answer for the assessors folks. So you coming in here and, you know, you want a case by case to us of my tax bill went up. I don't know how to answer you. I honestly do not. You know,
That's a good start, just admitting that you don't know.
I don't know.
Well, what do you pay a claim to, right?
Yeah.
I'm not an assessor, Frank's not an assessor, he's not an assessor, I work with dirt. You know what I mean? Do you want me to think in tenths or fraction, you know, feet and inches, square yardage? I'm all about it. Stat stuff, no. Not an assessor.
You there.
I would like to make a couple points. One is a little off the subject, but I don't want to forget it. Thank you for shutting off the AC so that the people at home can hear better. I think that might be helpful.
I have a comment for that. I really do. Because I went to Cindy Eaton's video, because online, it was people were losing their minds. I can't hear. I got a speaker sitting on my shoulder, and I can't hear. I take this thing that's been beat and thrashed.
It's different. The town and
No,
cities are completely different.
no, hang on, ma'am. I went to Cindy Eaton's video, and I set my phone up just like that, cranked the volume up, and I could hear what Barb Moulton and Deb Tate were whispering behind Cindy. Okay? No. So then I went to Miss Patty's, the video that Miss Patty put on for Facebook Live for the town of Brownfield, and I couldn't quite make out what they said, but I heard everybody in that. And I was like, man, maybe I got a really good phone. It's an Apple. Hey, I like the iPhone stuff, you know. But, so everybody knows. Okay? We are working on, we've had 2 audio people come in here. Okay? Because the big stink now is we can't hear what people are saying. The 2 audio people that came in and did all around the room is there's too much of an echo. So we're getting it recarpeted, folks, so that the audio is better. And on top of that, couple little whispers out there that, you know, the town, they just, you know, they're not doing what we ask. Well, folks, we spent a lot of time and some of your taxpayer dollars trying to figure out what would make it better for you to sit at home and listen and watch everything that goes on here. Okay? There's been time that we've done to do this so that we can provide you with what you want. A better video and audio experience.
Excuse me, sir, how much would it cost to carpet this, the tax rate?
For the entire building is 32 and change, I think.
How much time does it take to turn on the air conditioning?
Right. Wow. You know, a gentleman of your age, you just experiencing a hot flash?
Quietly.
Just that. So yes,
Beat him, Carol, beat him.
we are putting the effort forward, folks, to get the audio portion so that everybody can hear.
Thank you. Can I finish my statement? My question?
Which one?
So
Well, wait a minute. On which topic? Are we talking taxes or are we talking something else?
something else.
Oh. All right. Anybody have any other questions on
I
taxes?
have one question. So,
Fill in the back.
sorry.
Just, I mentioned that, and I'm new to the whole county government thing, my fault. We were aware of the mill rate of everything got voted in June for town meeting.
Yes.
Because the mill rate's based on the net assessment in town, right? We have to know the value of all the properties to know what the mill rate's gonna be.
This is exactly what I did. I asked the assessors, with the help of the treasurer, to get the county tax, the school budget, which was a guess at that point, and what, if we, all the articles totaled, approved, and then it was a guesstimate on valuation from the assessors, because it hadn't been done yet. You gotta remember, we didn't get our 100% letter from the state until 2 days after, a day after the vote. So, that was a, hey, look, we can can give you a mill rate at town meeting, if this all passes. Now, that is not I didn't make the statement of, folks, if everything passes in the warrant as proposed, that our mill rate is gonna be $12.05 and your tax bills aren't going down. Right? No. We were guesstimating so that we could tell you people, the taxpayers, hey, we're pretty confident in the numbers now, where before we never were, that we can kind of set our tax rate. We know it on the
Totally get it. But by understanding what the mill rate estimation would be, they had an idea of what the estimation of town properties were gonna be, and I think she said earlier, they went from 199 million to 300 million in 1 year, so of course the mill rate would go down and property values, something along those lines, right? If I understood it correctly.
That was over 2 years, yeah.
Okay. So we communicated the mill rate estimation, which is great, but still the same thing that didn't get communicated was the 70% assessment to 100% assessment.
That I was.
So we knew about that prior to town meeting. It just, you know what I'm saying? I don't want, a little bit made it feel like we're in here playing a pity trip, but it's just communication. We knew the mill rate estimation, totally get it. But at the same time, people were aware that we were going from a 70% assessment to a 100% assessment, and that's the part, because when I heard like the mill rate would go down, it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense in hindsight knowing that the assessments had gone up from 70 to 100%. Then it makes sense to me, is because when you spend money, the mill rate generally goes up, then it doesn't. So again, my whole stake is the communication on 70% to 100% is a significant, that should have been made aware to the voters. Again, I know I said it earlier, I'm not gonna do that to us.
Yes, sir?
Under the April new assessment, when the tax bills came out in April, the town's total of tax bills in April was $700,000 more than the year before. So I think what a lot of us is thinking is that the mill rate would go down more when there was that much of an increase. That's the part that,
The mill rate did decrease in 2 years from $17.55
oh yes.
to
you're right.
$12.55.
It went
That's a
down.
$5 drop in the mill rate.
But it still brought in $700,000 more tax revenue. That's a big
I don't know
number.
what it is. I didn't pay raise that. That's what I did.
I just have one more question for the discrepancies. Can we talk to you about?
Ma'am?
Are you going to recalculate and see if there is?
No, that would be the assessors.
So we go back to the assessors. who's
Yeah,
not
I
coming.
only collect the taxes, yes, they
All right.
make the
I
taxes.
will word it more plain.
Yes.
Okay. Oh. Anybody else on taxes?
One question.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were saying with the assessors, so there's a 10-year reeval,
Yep.
and then they're reassessing properties each year as well?
They watch the market and change it
Right,
accordingly.
that's what I mean.
Yep.
So if market rates do go down, if it becomes a buyer's market, that's gonna be reflected in the
Correct.
property taxes. Okay.
Yep, that's when you'll see a change in the mill rate.
Right.
Yep. No, no, what?
You must be sure I can answer that. My question is, okay, everyone is so popular around me, but my house is a lot older. Is property assessed? Do they go by age?
I already know your question. I don't know. I'm not an assessor. You need to have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
You really do, because there's stipulations in there that we have no idea about.
And how did they come up with some of the information? Because they said my house was built in 47. My house survived the 47 fire, so.
Okay, so there you have a discrepancy on your tax card, so please make an appointment and get it fixed.
I'll just go and see him tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay, so we're done with the taxes, folks. Yes, Ms. Parker.
Okay, so I just want to make an observation. And I want to ask you, Ricky,
Yep.
what is the job of a select person?
What is the job of the select person? Well, we have a pretty broad stroke here. We answer the taxpayers' questions, we make sure that the town employees are doing their job, we make sure that we check to see the expenses, and, you know.
Okay. So when taxpayers sit in this meeting
Yes, ma'am.
and they bring up their concerns,
Yes, ma'am.
do you still feel it is appropriate to be concerned that the taxpayers are asking their own individual questions of the select board? You are the voice,
Yep.
and you are the leaders,
Okay.
and you are the ones that supervise the assessing department.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll say yes to that. Because I am responsible for any town employees. That's correct. Whether they're contract or not. So keep that contract in mind.
So my point to you, Rick,
Yep.
and my point to this audience and to the people at home, is that we have a chair who is feeling some anxiety over wanting to please the people in our town. And his frustration emanates off of him when he talks. That being said, that does not mean that you're bad or any of that, but my observation is you should be eager to hear what the townspeople are saying and what they're concerned about. And I also want to observe the fact that I have been coming to these meetings for off and on for quite a while, and it is, I could probably count on one hand the number of times I've heard the other two selectmen speak. So I would like to hear more, and I would like to see our board act as a board versus having one person being expected or feeling like they have to answer every question by themselves. I feel like you're on a chopping block, and that is not you. That's not what I want. That's not what I think most of the people in this room want. I think we speak to you because you're the chair, and you feel obligated and want to please the people, but the frustration level's a little high.
Oh, it is
Now-
extremely high.
I know, and that's why I'm bringing it up, because I know what it's like to be a town official, or not a town official, but work for the town. So, I guess what my point is, we're a team, we all live in the same community, we all want the same things. But we need to treat people in a way that's more respectful on both sides of the fence. And that, and only that, is what's going to move us forward. So I would like to see more involvement from the other selectmen, more conversation with the other selectmen, and some appreciation from both sides of the table for the hard decisions and work that we're doing. A lot of what Rick is telling you, I can tell you, is absolutely true. There's only so much you can control, and we do fall behind because of all those regulations. At the same time, the people in this room need to be heard.
And hence, that's why, you know, before this even happened this evening, there are a lot of things that happen unbeknownst to the taxpayers on a daily basis, including the weekends and the nights of communication to try to set up meetings, informational meetings, to set up, you know, hey, can we send out an email on this? You know, how better can we serve the taxpayers and do something that they've complained about? And I'm here to tell you folks that there is a lot of complaining. And, you know...
Set up a complaint committee.
Oh, God.
And, you know, I do find the humor in that, but I want to point out to all these people on a committee, well, it's taxpayers. It's comprised of taxpayers. You expect us to listen to you and do what you want, you know? We have a committee. The committees bring their findings and their review and everything to us, and great, it's taxpayer participation. But yet, when we mention the creation of another committee, we get the eye roll, we get the another committee. You know,
And then if we don't, we get the beating on the internet. You
Well,
can
and
hear
that's-
my mouth run? No, you can hear my mouth run. It's relatively unfiltered, so relax. You get on Brownfield.
Small
yeah,
towns need committees.
you guys talk
Help.
trash all the time. I mean, on your...
You trashed my page. Oh,
I'm not
why is
trashing
that
your
just
page,
my
I'm just
page?
looking
Let him
at
speak.
talking about the
Let him
stuff I
speak.
have read on your page. A lot of half-truths, a lot of spinning things in your own specific direction. You know, so how much interaction do you expect to get from somebody when we know that in, I don't know, 15 minutes you'll be talking trash about us on the internet? I mean, it's an eye for an eye where I grew up. I'm an Old Testament type of person. You piss down my leg, I'm gonna piss down yours. That's simple. So sometimes it's best to sit and listen rather than run my mouth in an unwarranted fashion. Don't think I'm not paying attention, because I am too. Plain and simple. So, you can't have it both ways. You can't sit there and say, we never listen, we never do this, we never do that, when we're all sitting here listening. Rick is the chair. It's kind of his job to speak for us. We can talk about it. I can add in and chime in on stuff I understand and know about, but if it's a topic, since I've only been doing this for 8 weeks, I'm not real hip on government. I don't like government. I don't like the way my taxes run. But I'm sitting here. I didn't see your name on the ballot. You could be sitting here. I would much rather that. Trust me. I wouldn't be losing so much time and work because I got to keep coming here.
Why did you run?
Huh?
Why did you run?
No one else was. It seemed like the right thing to do. All right? It's in my nature to help. Even though I'm not the most talkative all the time, but I am. It's just my nature to help people. I didn't see you on the ballot. You're here quite often. I didn't see any of you people.
Yeah, I'm taking
Oh,
care of
Roger, my name's
mother.
Roger. Get that back. So,
My name will be
feel
on the
free to go
ballot.
home and
Soon
good, I
enough.
hope so. Well, bring me your thing, I'll sign it.
Thank you. At a very early meeting, once the election is held, is there or is there not a discussion between the elected selectmen as to who should be the spokesman, who should assume the leadership during meetings, and they vote to make that person the chair. Is that not what happens?
The very first meeting.
Okay, so you haven't been told, shut up, I'm gonna do the talking. You asked him to take the leadership role.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And if you notice, at the end of every meeting, he looks at him, asks him if he's got any questions. He looks at me, asks if I got any questions. So if I haven't got something good to contribute to what he's saying, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, because I don't wanna get in trouble with him.
I'm with you, Frank. I'm 100% with
If I don't agree with him, I'll let you know.
you. Yeah, up here, Scott.
Folks, I want everybody to understand that we put a lot of time and effort into listening to what you say, listening to your complaints. And before this even happened, we already were in talks of having an informational meeting so that you taxpayers that have those questions for the assessors, it can be handled. It's not that we don't want to hear what you have. We do. Sometimes it's overwhelming.
Where is that going to be posted?
It'll be on the internet, it'll be on the sign, the website, Brownfield Facebook page, out here on the sign. If I have enough time, I'll even put it in the paper. Because I think it warrants enough of, this is probably one of the bigger selectmen's meetings that we've had since July 1. So, yeah, I'm gonna spend some more of your taxpayer dollars so that it's advertised.
You're welcome.
So, well, I'm a taxpayer too, so y'all don't forget that. I pay my share as well.
I would also
Just
like,
like everybody else.
I'd also like to point out that we are living in an age, this voter apathy thing is happening all over the place. And we have to also remember that my generation, for a lot of people, are taking care of grandchildren and parents at the same time, right? So I think people are stretched a little thinner than they might have been 40 years ago or 50 years ago. I also will note that many of the meetings start before I even get out of work. So there are real good reasons. I know several people who work 2 and 3 jobs to pay their bills, to function. So I'd like to tone down the discontent with the voter apathy. As important as it is, I think it's more to it than not having the will to contribute or be involved or understand. I think people are stretched pretty thin. And that's why my name hasn't been on the ballot yet, because I happen to have it
Hey, I work 7 days a week too, okay? So don't feel bad.
Some people have health issues.
Is the text message thing up and running?
Yeah, like my old lady. She can't work.
It wasn't as of last week. I had sent an email out to them saying it wasn't functioning yet, and I haven't had a chance to check it out.
Hold it, right there. Cindy, hang on just a second, please. I know you had the floor. The meeting will be in order. Please continue.
I was just wondering if the text message was working as to fill out information to people.
Well, that was part of that fiber update, right?
No, that was on the website. That was
Yeah.
we were going from email and adding on text messaging.
Right.
And then, as of last week, it still wasn't functioning.
I'm just curious. Thank you.
And maybe over a long holiday, maybe they figured to do something this week.
Thank you.
Okay. Cory.
I just want to state is that I understand on both sides of the fence here. I'm new to this, and from the residents to the selectmen, thank you for tonight. And I've learned a lot tonight. But I know the selectmen, they have a thankless job. It's not a big paying job. And I want to thank all the gentlemen for sitting in that seat and doing what you do.
Yes, ma'am.
Just want to wrap it up by thanking you for letting me speak tonight. I've always said that I support the selectmen, no matter who sits on that job. I know the hard, long hours that the selectmen put in. watched it for many, many years. So try to put in a lot of thank yous to people that work in this town. I think I put in quite a few. I also would like to thank the people in this room that showed up to support me, and the people that commented on Brownfield Maine Matters at Facebook page that said they were going to support me. I appreciate it very much. It was a difficult thing for me to do. But like I said, I was here representing people in the community that came with their taxes.
Real quick, folks, General Assistance Quarterly Report. There were no applications received for this period. Asbestos testing, 315 for the material, 135 for the chalkboard, blue floor tile, 325 times 5, joint compound, office floor tiles, and then office mastic. I don't know what that is. Total of 2155. So that does the entire building.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that they're all affected, that's
Right, that's just
suspicious that you want to.
But it's old enough, it probably.
So, I would make a motion to accept this 2155, take it out of the, utilize the community center. All in favor? Folks, you know, the siding and the window, not replacement, but doing the trim and stuff around the window with vinyl and aluminum has started, so that's ongoing, along with the painting. The painting will be happening with the updated all the siding on the Brownfield Fire Department is selling 2 vehicles, the 05 Tahoe and the 96 Yukon, sealed bid. May be seen by appointment at the Brownfield Fire Station by calling Chief Richard Peralt. All bids should be in by September 23rd by 5 p.m. to the town office, 82 Main Street. The town has the right to accept or reject any and all bids. We are in receipt of a thank you letter from visiting nurse, home care, and hospice of Carroll County in Western Maine. Thank you so much for your gift in the amount of $500 to visiting nurse, home care, and hospice of Carroll County, Western Maine, which was received on July 11, 2025. We know that there are many household choices for your gift giving, and we are very grateful that you chose these people. Signed by Sandra Marco, MSRN, Executive.
Yes, I'll keep up in. Yes, I just wanted to clear up one thing. Cindy, you were under the impression that you would have to pay all of the taxes for this year before you would be able to receive an abatement.
No, I think it's the first half.
Yeah, so, and that would only be if you reach the first half, if you reach November 15th, and it wasn't resolved yet, then you would have to make that first payment. But you don't have to pay the whole thing. That would be, and the only thing that would happen if you didn't pay it on the 15th is you would start to accrue interest. I just wanted to make sure, yeah, you don't have to pay the whole bill to try to get that some type of abatement.
Thank you.
And I just did want to mention 2024 taxes. Any people that haven't paid those in full yet, 30-day notices will be going out this coming Monday. And that's all I have.
I'm good. Ms. Patty?
I'm good.
Last chance, folks. Joe?
There's a pre-bid meeting tomorrow at 3:30 over at the community center. We're giving it another shot since nobody showed up the first time. But we're optimistic this time that somebody will show up, and we'll get pricing for the roofing and the boiler room.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Chad?
I'm looking at the calendar, I've got to set up a truck meeting so I can go over everything with the truck people. As soon as I figure out what date I'm going to do it, I will let everybody know, and it is open to the public for them to come to the meeting.
Okay. All right, perfect. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All All in favor? Thank you, folks. I appreciate your time.